I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, she wants to be friends first. Well, that's obviously not what you want to hear when you try to turn your friend into a potential girlfriend or start dating a girl that you've maybe known for a while, but maybe she always had a boyfriend, now she's single. And then you approach her, then you get that kind of a response. Now, the average guy hears that and thinks, oh, okay, well, that makes total sense to me. But they don't realize it's just a nice way to basically try to reject you down and in a nice way say, there's no chance in hell that you're getting in my pants. So I've got a quote here that I want to share with you before we get into this guy's email. And it says, we tend to project our desires, dreams, ideals, and hopes onto people who either don't measure up or who will let us down. We often only see what we want and ignore the fact that what we want does not feel the same way about us. We often bullshit ourselves into believing that things in life are either better than they actually are or worse than they actually are, but very rarely do we tend to see things as they actually are. Most people will do more to avoid pain and disappointment than they will risk to potentially experience pleasure and reward. That's something to think about. So let's get into this email. He says, hey Corey, so I've been interested in this girl for a long time now. I just never had the balls to do anything about it. Yeah, that's just a bad way to go, to be friends with a girl for years and secretly hide a crush, because the more you hang out with her and the more you get wrapped up in that emotional fantasy, basically, because what it is a fantasy that's going on in your own mind. And we often tend to project our feelings and our desires onto the other person and totally ignore the fact that either the signs are not there, or that when she comes right out and says, no way, I'm only interested in being friends, and they keep repeating it. And some guys, it's like, they hear that, and then they like, oh, okay, so when are you free to get together? Or when are you free to go out on a date? And she's like, I'm only interested in being friends. Okay, well, when you... And it's like they just don't hear it, because all they hear and see is what it is that they want, because they don't want to acknowledge the fact that they're getting rejected or potentially getting rejected, because they don't want to experience the pain. So, you know, it's kind of like, hey, dude, the bridge is out. Like, oh, it's going to be fine, dude. No, bro, the bridge is fucking out. Oh, it'll be fine. And then he goes over the fucking cliff. So he says, her and her ex dated for about a month and broke up, so I decided to make my move. He says, I started talking to her a lot on Facebook and then over text. So you're doing the illusion of action, which is basically thinking, okay, well, I'm going to step up my interaction with this girl, because my interacting with her, talking with her on the phone, Facebook messaging her, it's like a covert way of trying to cover up what is really what you really want, which is your interest in her. Instead, you just say, hey, I'd love to hang out. When are you free to get together for a drink? Let's meet up. Go hang out, have a beer, have a glass of wine, whatever it is that you guys have done in the past for fun, and meet out, hang out, have fun, start shooting the shit, and let her talk, and she starts playing with her hair and touching your arm. I mean, if you look for the things that I talk about in my book, if the girl physically is attracted to you, and then you go out and you have a really good date, she'll start exhibiting those signs, and when you see those signs, then you know whether or not to actually make a move or risk obviously getting rejected or fucking up your friendship. But what I always found, at least when I was in my 20s, was that more often than not, the girls I became friends with were really girls I wanted to date, and either they had a boyfriend, or I just, in your case, I didn't have the balls to ask them, so I figured, oh, I'll be friends first with them. I'll take the inner route, let them get to know me before I have to risk anything, and of course they'll fall in love with me, because that's what I saw in all those thousands of movies I watched when I was a kid. So he says, we were flirting back and forth, and I said to myself that this is great, but you're not looking at what she's doing. He says, we hung out twice with a group of friends, and that went okay, which probably means nothing happened. He says, just recently I noticed she kept saying, let's be friends. You see what I was talking about a second ago in the quote? People see what they want. He says, I noticed she kept saying, let's be friends. Well, obviously you didn't listen to her the first time, so she kept repeating herself. And that's the thing. The guy's like, okay, well, it's just a matter of time. It's like, okay, so maybe a few hours, then you'll be ready to date maybe a few days, maybe a week or two, and then you'll give me a shot. And so the guy's always thinking it's going to be something that's going to happen right away. It's just a bad way to go, man. He says, I texted her back saying, I think it's best we tell each other what we want out of this. It's like, come on, man. I noticed she kept saying, let's be friends. And then so he sends a text. I think it's best that we tell each other what we want out of this. She wants to just be friends, dude. I mean, come on. You see what I mean? It's like cognitive dissonance. It's what reality, it's like you're just ignoring reality. You're seeing reality as better than it really is. That's what's really going on. Because you don't want to acknowledge the fact that she's just really not into you and you ain't got a shot with her. Probably because you've been friends with her for so long, she's watched you interact with other women. She knows you probably don't date a lot of women, and obviously, therefore, judging by the way you're interacting with her, she can tell. Women want a guy, they want men and women both, we want the best that we can get. We want the most attractive and most dominant members of the opposite sex. And the behaviors that you're exhibiting here are the kind of behaviors of a guy who never gets a date. A guy who has nothing going on in his personal life. He says, she said she isn't looking for anything right now because of her busy summer coming up. It just means she ain't looking for anything with you, dude. Even though she's telling you that, you're just not listening to her. He says, the fact that she just became single again and that she really doesn't know me well. Well, didn't you say you've known this girl for a long time? I've been interested in this girl for a long time now, and you make it sound like she had this big, long relationship with this other guy, but it was a month and a half. So he says, she says she likes me, though, and believes that being friends is a first step into having a relationship. Well, that actually is a true statement. But she can tell you're interested in relationship, and that's what you're fixated on. So she wouldn't be able to just go out and hang out with you because you'd be constantly, so you ready to be my girlfriend yet? Can we start calling all of our friends and family and relatives and start telling them the good news that we're an item officially? It's just a bad way to go. He says, now I'm not an idiot. I understand what this means. My question for you is this. How do I back away to make her more interested without completely giving her the cold shoulder? We usually text all day. The phone is for setting up dates. So you're basically becoming her therapist and her gay male girlfriend. He says, we usually text all day, so I'm thinking the first step should be to slow down the text. I would say not only to slow down the text, it's like to slam on the brakes, put your car in reverse and do like a 3-point turn and go the other fucking way and go someplace where there are women who are single and available and want to hang out, have fun, and hook up. He says, I understand the strongest position is being able to back away without losing anything. Well, you're not gaining anything by blowing up her phone. She's saying, I'm not ready for a relationship. And she's just not interested in you. Even if she was physically attracted to you in the beginning, the way you have behaved has caused her to go out of her way to try to communicate that she ain't interested. She's only interested in something platonic. And she's trying to be nice to you, but it's like you're looking for any kind of sliver of hope. And that's why she's saying things like, well, a friends first is, it's really important before you have a relationship. It is, but she's saying that just to get you off her back and get you to fucking get off the subject. That's what's going on here. So if you want my advice, the best thing that you can do is stop calling her, stop texting her, stop pursuing her. Just cut all of that crap out. And then if she reaches out to you next, hey, what's up? How you doing? Hey, great to hear from you. Let's meet up for a drink. When are you free to get together? And if she tries to get other friends and other groups of people involved, say, just no. I'd like to hang out with just you and I and have a drink. Well, I told you I'm not interested. I just want to be friends first, or I want to be friends. Just say, you know what, I'm not interested in being just your friend. And so if you're telling me that we can't have anything potentially romantic, then it's just best that we don't hang out anymore so I can meet somebody and find somebody. But if I'm hanging out with you all the time, in the back of my mind, I'm going to be thinking, hey, I got a chance. I got a shot. And so you got to be firm. And if she's not willing to give you what it is that you want, you got to walk away, because you're never going to find anybody. You're never going to meet anybody as long as you stay emotionally engaged and wrapped up with this particular girl, because it's just a bad way to go. And so my other advice is to go to my website. Underneath the email sign-up box, there's a link that'll take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page for my book. And once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for whatever electronic device you want to read my book on. And so what the book will do is it'll give you baseline knowledge of what I teach, so it can help you clean up your act, because everything you're doing is fixated on a relationship, nailing this girl down to some kind of commitment so you can tell everybody that she's yours. And this really is just societal conditioning and programming. This is the type of crap that you see on TV and the movies all the time. And so instead of just going out and hanging out with a girl and having fun and hooking up naturally, which is how things would naturally evolve, most people have seen thousands of TV shows and movies where the guy's got to prove himself and win the girl and get her to commit to be his girlfriend and ultimately marry him. And what the average guy doesn't understand is it takes time for women to fall in love. It's a slow process. They're not like a light switch. And so to really simplify the process and not overcomplicate things, hang out, have fun, and hook up, and you just keep doing that. And it usually, if you do everything right, according to like what I talk about in my book, it usually will take you about 2 months to get a woman to fall completely head over heels in love with you, where she starts bringing up being exclusive and wanting to have a relationship. Because at that point, emotionally inside, she feels that she's ready. But when you first start going out with a girl, she's just thinking, hey, I want to go out and see what happens. And you're all fixated on relationship because in your mind, oh, she's got the perfect body, she's a cool personality, great. I'm going to make this girl my wife. And you don't even know anything about her. You haven't hung out with her. You don't know what she's like. I mean, maybe after hanging out and dating and hooking up all the time for 6 months, you get bored with each other. Maybe it happens after 2 months. Sometimes it happens after 2 weeks. That's life. And it's not until you date somebody for several years where the infatuation is worn off and you consistently make the effort day in and day out, week after week, month after month, year after year, to constantly meet their needs, and they're doing the same thing. And it's only after you have a healthy long-term relationship for several years where it's effortless, there's great communication, you both have the same goals and values, and they're aligned, and you want the same things, that it's a good thing to be considering marriage and all those kinds of things. But when you just meet a girl, it's like the average guy focuses on those things, and if you keep doing that, you won't get past a second or a third date. This is the kind of thing that will keep happening. And how do I know? Because this is pretty much the kind of shit that I used to do when I was in my 20s, and it never worked. Not a single fucking time did it ever work. Every single time a woman said, friends first, it never worked out. Because friends first really is a rejection. It's just, she's trying to let you down without hurting your feelings. So if you have a question or a challenge, whether it's a relationship or a quality of life issue or health challenges, or you want to get in shape, or you want to figure out what your purpose is in life, or maybe things are going sideways with your business, or maybe you want to tweak your productivity and sales so you can maximize your income, go to my website, click the products tab, which is at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions for booking a paid phone coaching session with yours truly. And I will talk to you soon.